Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
It is good to have you with us as we begin this Wednesday morning here on First Alert Streaming. I'm Erin Hartley.
I'm Cerise Cole, along with meteorologist Jared Lansford, Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lohr. We are off to a pretty nice start to the morning. Feels pretty good out there.
Yeah,
sunshine.
Okay, another good one on the way. The last
be a
couple
nice
have been
day.
fantastic. Let's keep it rolling. Similar temperatures, but we got some storms to talk about today. So let's dive into the latest details with those and show you how this is going to play out. Beautiful sun rays sneaking through here. The clouds that are out there. Love this view here early this morning. We're right around 50 degrees, a little bit of a northwest breeze at 3 miles per hour. So it's light. It's very enjoyable out there. And compared to yesterday, pretty similar feel. A couple degrees cooler, a couple degrees warmer in some spots, depending upon where you're at. Not much has changed over the last 24 hours. You see a lot of 50s, couple of 40s on the map, but overall a pretty good look to the day. Satellite and radar shows scattered showers and storms are moving east. They're out of here. There's the clouds that we're seeing the sunlight sneak through. And now we wait for the next batch of thunderstorms to try to develop. You can see it's a 1 out of 5 on the scale with the severe weather risk today. So it's on the low end of the spectrum here, but it does look like 1-inch hail, some 60 mile per hour wind gusts from a couple of storms are possible. And that's right there at severe level thresholds on the low end. So we'll be watching for that anytime after 4 o'clock today. You can see the green bars here indicate the low risk. Tornado is going to stay well to the south with this round. So wind and hail will be the main ones to watch for. We'll be keeping an eye on that as we march on through these thunderstorms that try to develop a little later on. So what we have out here now is just the partly cloudy skies. We're getting a little sunlight through. We make our way up towards lunch, and we should be able to fill in the clouds a little bit more, but still warm at the same time. Right near 70 degrees is the way it's looking. By 3 o'clock, you can see a couple little sprinkles, not a ton out there. But what we'll watch for is by 4, some spotty thunderstorms to start to develop. There's more on the map by 5, more on the map by 6, and then eventually more as we go towards 7 and 8 as well. So it's a couple of these here in the yellow that could be a little bit stronger. That's where we'd get our wind. You can even see maybe models trying to suggest the wind gusts rushing out from those. So we'll be watching that this evening to see if 1 or 2 can get going. By 10 o'clock tonight, temperatures in the 60s. And I think there's going to be a little more rain on the map than what you see here during the overnight hours. The model looked pretty good through about 10 o'clock, but then kind of falls off in my opinion. More opportunities for rain and some thunderstorms overnight leading into tomorrow. Notice the chances in the morning, and then for the afternoon, they do tail off a little bit. So multiple rounds of showers and storms will be trying to move on through, and hopefully some beneficial rain during that time frame. You can see the yellows indicate 2 inches or more. You get into some oranges, maybe some isolated 3. So 1 to 3 inch rain totals. I'm hoping models hold with this. I don't see any reason why we should diverge from this being the case, because there's going to be multiple rounds of thunderstorms moving through over the course of the next 48 hours or so, and hopefully can drop some soaking rains. By Friday, we get to 67 there, and it looks pretty comfortable. A little bit of a northwest breeze trying to move in some cooler air as well.
Okay, looking ahead to Monday already. There's a word that you've been saying so far that you haven't said in a while. It's humidity.
Humidity. Haven't felt it much yet. You've been using the air conditioner occasionally.
I haven't missed you saying that word, by the way.
I know,
I'm not
we like the beautiful, like, middle of the road stuff we've been having here. But you get the humidity in the mix. You get a cold front, a storm system kicking into the plains. And we got to watch out for that humidity turning into some thunderstorms Monday. This is a large area being monitored. It could be narrowed down a little bit as we get closer. But watch for this Monday afternoon and evening. Not an official first alert weather day. We're trying to figure out where the storms are going to fire exactly. It could be right in our area, and they move east pretty quickly. But we'll be keeping an eye on that and watch for any updates as we get closer. And there's what Aaron was talking about. Look at the muggy meter. Get up here in the muggy range. You get those dew points over 60, that's when you start to feel it. And we're going to see that, I think, on Monday ahead of any storms that move through. Nothing all that bad before that. So you get the 60s into the weekend. Pretty good weekend on the way. Small storm chances late Saturday and into Sunday. And you notice the odds aren't all that great on Monday. Just because maybe not a large number of storms, but there could be some fairly strong ones as we spike to 84, feel that humidity, and you're going to notice that out there. The feel to the day on Monday is going to be much different, and you may even be like, yeah, it feels like it could storm out there. So we'll be tracking that as we get closer.
The muggy meter is back. All right, watch out. You know, this construction, I mean, it feels like you can't go anywhere in Omaha without running into construction, and of course it's slowing us down in the morning commute.
There's kind of a running joke about it being the flower of the season is the orange cone. Yeah. That's it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And there's some specific spots where we're really seeing the effects of it as we're starting off our day today. So let's zoom in on that. And we're actually going to start in Sarpy County. I know we've been talking a lot about the interstates, but I want to start here because this is one where we have a new closure that's showing the effects pretty well here. We've got the closure on 25th. This is just to the north of Highway 370, and you have a lot more traffic that's trying to make its way to 36. So on Highway 370, as you get right near that intersection with 36, notice how it's kind of flaring up in both directions, westbound and eastbound. So be aware that it's probably going to be a little slower than you're accustomed to as you head through that stretch. This closure, by the way, lasts through Friday, so this is a one-week thing that we're going to be looking at, but that could be something that you have to contend with today, tomorrow, and into our Friday. Now let's check in on the interstates because that is a big problem that we are seeing. This is I-80 westbound. You can see things are moving, just not real quickly as you're getting past about Q heading westbound and toward Giles. This is actually a little bit better than it was about, say, 10-15 minutes ago, but you can see how it's still not great moving through that stretch. Speeds about 15 to 25 miles per hour on the interstate through that stretch. So not ideal. It's going to be a problem that we continue to see here as we head our way through the rest of the commute. And off and on, I've already been seeing our eastbound delays showing up just past 144th. This usually doesn't start showing up until we get closer to about 7:30. So a little bit earlier with those delays means maybe a bigger problem in about 20 minutes or so. So be ready for I-80 to give you headaches again this morning. 144th also showing some delays north-south as you're getting near I-80. That's been a consistent feature here over the last half hour or so. We zoom out and you can see the I-80 delays showing up pretty well, but aside from that, we aren't looking at a ton of other problems at this point in the morning. A couple of your usual busy roads, Dodge right around 72nd showing some delays, but we don't have a bunch of other issues that we have to be concerned about. So that's the good news that we are looking at. If you're about to head out the door and you aren't using some of those zones that we just talked about, you might be in better shape this morning.
Okay. All right, Jared, thanks. In the meantime, just devastating news out of West Omaha. A teenage girl who died in a car crash has now been identified as 16-year-old Elise Cole. Omaha police say the crash involved a pickup and an SUV near the intersection of 176th and Q. Now, friends believe the other driver ran a red light. Now, Omaha police tell us they are still investigating the crash. They cannot confirm anything to us at this point. We did speak with one of Ellie's best friends at the memorial that they've held for her.
She was the best friend I could ask for. She was so funny, and she was just a perfect person. She had a beautiful soul, and she just lit up a room every time she came in. No one ever disliked Ellie. She was just a happy, happy person.
Well, the death is now sparking online cries for street safety and for reform.
One woman was seriously hurt after being stabbed in the leg. Officers found her near 16th and Arthur C. Stores Expressway. The victim told police the man was trying to steal her keys. She was taken to the hospital in critical condition. No arrests have been made. And new details on that deadly plane crash near Fremont from last week. A preliminary report from the NTSB shows the aircraft hit a power line. It eventually went down in the Platte River. Jeff Bittinger and Randy Amrin from Fremont, as well as Daniel Willens from Kansas, died in the crash.
All right, now to the safety desk with Maria Kay. Maria, you have some new numbers this morning regarding fertility rates in the U.S.
Yeah, you know, obviously a concern for many people. And about 3.6 billion babies were born here in the U.S. last year. But that is an increase of less than 1% compared to numbers from 2023. But just to give you some context, 2023 was a record low. Now, experts say there are many reasons why the fertility rate is going down. And this includes the cost of raising children and a waning confidence in maternal health care. care. Now, there was a jump in the fertility rate in 2021. Some people actually thought that that might lead to a baby bump during the COVID-19 pandemic when a lot of people were having kids, but obviously we know now that hope was short-lived.
Right. All right. Now to air pollution. What are some concerns that experts are raising right now?
Now, there's a new report that's finding about nearly half of Americans breathe in unhealthy levels of air, which is really concerning when you think about it. So the American Lung Association looked at air quality data from 2021 to 2023 for its annual State of the Air report. And they found about 156 million people live in an area that the association gave a failing grade to for ozone levels. That is 25 million more than last year's report. And fine particle matter can come from dirt, dust, or smoke. And we know that when we breathe it in, it can get stuck in the lungs and the bloodstream. That can cause inflammation and irritation as well.
And so many medical issues too.
Yes, you can never be too safe as well. I feel like that's why we see a lot of people even going out now after COVID still wearing masks when they know that air quality might not be that great.
Absolutely. Ray Kay, thank you very much. We're back after this.
Welcome back, everybody. So the weather has been really nice the last couple of days, but I will say there's been a lot of sneezing, a lot of runny noses at work and at home.
Okay. Held that one back. But yeah, a lot of pollen out there. It really jumped over the last couple of days as we enjoy the nice weather. And don't be surprised at the new number that comes in later on this morning. Around 9 o'clock, we usually put is when that comes in from the Douglas County Health Department, and we post all this on our website too. But it's in the high range with the tree pollen. It's ash and mulberry that's causing the problems. Two big ash trees in my backyard, so that's kind of explain what's happening there, at least in my home anyway. You have some sunshine sneaking through the clouds. More rain chances, though, build in today, heading into Thursday. 60s and 70s into the weekend, looking pretty good, and tracking a Monday severe risk in our area that may end up starting in our area if things hold true. But current temperatures in the 50s at the moment, so it's a mild start out there. Wind speeds out of the north that are pretty light right now, and that's going to be a feature today. Pretty light wind to enjoy the day. Some thunderstorms moving east. You have the clearing in our area right now. Here's the severe risk for today. It's a 1 out of 5. Some 1-inch hail, some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts right on the low end of the threshold with a couple of storms. Not a big outbreak, but we got to watch for just minimal risks of a couple of storms getting going. Notice by 4 or 5 o'clock, you can see a little cluster there. Pretty random with where these get going, but notice how they move in from the southwest. There you get some thunderstorm clusters. Pausing it at 7 o'clock, maybe near the river. A few more on the Iowa side later on in the evening, and then they drift to the east by 10 o'clock. overnight into the early morning hours of Thursday, I think there could be a little more activity on the map than what you see here. So that model, in my opinion, looked pretty good through about 10 o'clock. Not doing a great job with the overnight activity. Let me show you a different version of what could roll through overnight and right into the morning hours on Thursday. Watch how this vast expanse of rain and storms we have on the map for the morning hours Thursday. It's one of the deals where this evening's storm round will probably impact where the overnight one develops, and then that in turn impacts where Thursday's develops. So it's tough to pinpoint the timing of Thursday's just yet. But notice, I think this one makes the most sense. You get morning and afternoon round, that moves out, and you get some clearing for the evening, and then possibly a few more bubble up for the late evening and overnight on Thursday. So it's not an all-day washout. We'll know more about tomorrow's storm timing and chances after today's round moves through, and so on and so forth. Friday does look like it's going to cool down and be dry anyway with 67 for the high temperature. The blues and the purples here indicate some 1 to 2 inch rain total potential in the area, so I'm liking that. Models continue to show the potential for some soaking rains, especially under thunderstorms. Would love to see that over the course of the next several days. And you head into the weekend and you'll notice 60s on Saturday, 70s on Sunday. Some small storm chances over the weekend. Nothing that's going to be a huge washout the way things are looking at the moment.
All right, also getting a little bit more humid as we get into next week, too. Let's learn about that.
And that's the thing, and we talk about it a lot here. I think that's going to be the talker early next week is a first alert to this day on Monday. Spiking into the 80s, you throw some humidity in the mix. The south wind will be just dragging energy in for thunderstorms. So we'll be watching this. A 30% chance right now just because they may be a little spotty to start. Watch this day. If there's a first alert day anywhere, in our forecast, it may end up being this Monday here. I'm keeping an eye on, obviously, today and tomorrow if there's anything more widespread, but Monday's got potential for some stronger storms than what we're going to see in the next 2 days. And there's that spike on the muggy meter up into the muggy range early on Monday. And what you'll notice here is warmer than average weather likely to persist even beyond that into the early part of May. So we may be getting into some of the humid time. You get a little taste of it Monday, maybe some longer term stuff early into May. Nothing too outside the norm, but you're going to feel it. It might be a little gross outside. So
you're painting a lovely picture,
be
Rusty.
advised.
All right, Rusty's watching that. You're watching 480 every morning, it seems like. How are things looking this morning?
Speaking of gross,
okay.
Speaking of
that same vibe, huh?
Yeah, it's not great. It's a little slow. We've had worse mornings as you're heading over 480 bridge on the Missouri River from Council Bluffs into Omaha. You can see there's some motion. It's just not great with some of the traffic at times. Not a lot of people trying to head over the bridge right now, but you've got the lane restrictions that are in place, and as you put some of that higher traffic volume in right around this time frame, you do occasionally get some delays that show up. Let me show you what our speeds are looking like in that stretch at this point. And you're holding up about 40, 45 miles per hour, so that's not awful, but it's just not quite as high as it should be there on the interstate. Speed limit there's right around 50. So keep an eye on that, see if we start seeing the buildups build a little bit more. I also want to first alert you to this. Southbound 42nd between Dewey and Emily, this starts today with a road closure for that stretch. Northbound not impacted, but southbound will be closed for the next 10 days for some work that's going to be happening in that stretch. So if you travel through that area, you need to keep that in mind this morning. I'll show you the wide view of the map. I have been watching 192nd and Dodge. 192nd has been a little slow at times as people navigate that new diverging diamond interchange. So keep that in mind as you head through that stretch. But mainly it's just that stretch on the interstate where we're looking at the delays. And then 370 right near right near East High school traffic. You're looking at things a little bit slower through that stretch. But all told, a lot of our main roads, 680, Dodge, holding up pretty well in the early going. We're going to cross our fingers and hope that that remains the case through the morning.
All right, we got your back, Jared. Thank you. Oh, the skyrocketing success of the digital age. I want to stick around to hear the history behind one popular app.
Plus, why today is significant to a success when we come back on First Alert Streaming.
Welcome back, everybody. YouTube is marking a special anniversary today. On this exact day, 20 years ago, the very first YouTube video was uploaded.
Can you believe it?
No.
It was called Me at the Zoo. You guys seen this one? Anyone?
So. I'm about to see it, though.
It's pretty, 2005, if you've seen it and you know what I'm talking about. The 19-second clip features YouTube co-founder Javed. No, this is not it. This is absolutely not it.
Okay, thank you.
Kareem. It's the founder in front of an elephant exhibit. YouTube was a very fast success, of course. Just 18 months after that, it would be sold to Google for $1.65 billion worth of stock. All of that happened back when you can only watch a YouTube on a computer screen. The iPhone was still many, many months away from launching at that time. How different the format looked too. We were just talking about some of the old YouTube videos.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was a year and a half after they did the first one is when they sold it for all that. And that was in Google stock 18 years ago. Those guys are rich.
Yeah. Something I always think of, and I've seen somebody say this a couple times on social media, it's kind of our closest thing to a time capsule, that we can go back and look at old videos from forever, as long as we've been having videos for. It's kind of this really cool thing that encapsulates all our moments in history.
It's really true. The comment section is still bookmarked there. You can read through it.
You can read comments from back from 2005.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool.
Well, and some of those popular old videos, I mean, we still go back and watch them nowadays too. So it's really special to have those memories.
Yeah.
Well, that was a fun look back. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get ready for our update in this today's show. Of course, you can watch it here on streaming, or you can watch it over the air.
Have a great start to your Wednesday.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
I'm Erin Hartley. Let's get an update on traffic impacts this morning with Jarrett Lansford.
And a lot of the areas where we're seeing some of our slowest traffic match up with construction zones. This is what it looks like on I-80, and we've certainly had worse mornings as you're heading through those stretches, as you're going westbound right near Q, eastbound around 144th. You can see that we do have some delays, so you need to be prepared for that, but it's not as bad westbound. Eastbound, though, has really flared up as you're heading near 144th, so watch for the delays that are in place there. When we zoom things out, you can see that's the biggest issue we have, starting to get some delays eastbound on Dodge, though, around 168th. Rusty.
Thanks, Jared. A little sunlight sneaking through the clouds, kind of a partly cloudy morning, giving us a beautiful sunrise as you look to the east. We're at 50 degrees, so pretty similar start to what we had yesterday morning, and from here we are going to warm up in a very similar way as well. There's scattered clouds out there right now, but overall, the clouds are going to gradually increase today. Watch out for a few strong storms after about 4 o'clock. That's when the first storms would try to move through. Won't be storms for everybody, but a couple of those could be a little stronger with some 1-inch hail, some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And you can see here about 3, 4 o'clock. Couple on the map, couple more by 5, moving in from the southwest, and then again, maybe 1 or 2 that are a little bit stronger with some wind and hail. The wind could be rushing out from some of these. By 10 o'clock, that little round looks to be mostly done. Aaron?
Well, neighbors in West Omaha and Elkhorn wondered what was going on when they heard these storm sirens earlier this week. Douglas County officials say the mistake was caused by a programming error due to a typo.
There was a storm cell that came through here. The term destructive was actually misspelled. It reverted to, hey, this siren better go off. This storm is going through.
Sirens now go off automatically when the National Weather Service issues a storm warning with a destructive tag. They also only go off in areas under immediate threats instead of the entire county.
Well, it is now 7:28. We are back with another update for you in about 25 minutes. We'll see you then. Have a great day, everybody.